Committee on Law and Government. We have a quorum consisting of Councilman O, Majority Leader Councilman Heenan, and Council President Clark, and myself, Bill Greenlee. First, let me just announce that Bill number 160095 and Resolution 160104 are being held to the call of the chair at the request of the sponsor. Ms. Marconi, will you please read the bill and resolution before us today?
Bill number 160895, an ordinance providing for the submission to the qualified electors of the City of Philadelphia, the proposal set forth in a resolution approved by council, proposing an amendment to the Philadelphia Home Rule Charter to provide for the creation, appointment, powers, and duties of a Philadelphia Community Reinvestment Commission, and authorizing the appropriate officers to publish notice and to make arrangements for a special election. And Resolution 160902, resolution proposing an amendment to the Philadelphia Home Rule Charter to provide for the creation, appointment, powers, and duties of a Philadelphia Community Reinvestment Commission, and providing for the submission of the amendment to the electors of Philadelphia.
Thank you. First, I want to recognize sponsor of the bill and resolution, Council President Clark.
Almost didn't know how to work this, sir. It's been a while since I'm sorry. Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, and members of the audience. Thank you very much for this opportunity to testify on the bill and the resolution. This is actually a legislation that replicates legislation to a large degree of legislation that was introduced some time ago. Under the statute, it must be created by a charter change. It was put in the code, but because it was not created by a charter change or the executive branch, we were not able to implement the program. And we looked at it, and I want to give Councilwoman Blackwell and Councilman Good kudos for having the vision to understand that we needed to be in a position where we can get everybody at the table. Essentially, what we're attempting to do, focus primarily around economic development. This commission will put in place the mechanism that will allow individuals and organizations and stakeholders to be a part of a commission that will work on strategy to, one, allow us to talk about economic development in a broad-based way in terms of attracting jobs, in terms of creating opportunities for those that are still here to expand jobs, in terms of creating the level of educational opportunities in the city of Philadelphia to take advantage of our hopefully stimulating economy. And it also creates an environment where government can be a part of this, but not the sole driver. Being in government for 1,000 years now, I have always witnessed us, as in we in the government, try to drive policy in terms of how we create jobs in the municipality. And the simple reality is, while we may be good to some degree on some government-sponsored programs, the simple reality is that the bulk of the jobs are created by the private sector. So we thought it was important for the private sector to have this vehicle to talk about how we do it in a way that includes government, includes all the institutions, nonprofit foundations, and you'll see as we roll out the participants that this is something that I'm very excited about. We actually have a quick 7-minute film, Mr. Chair, if it's okay, to kind of give you a perspective on what has happened in the city of Cleveland, and it kind of lays it out in form, this is one particular category of industry, but it kind of lays out what can happen when the private sector, when you have these public-private partnerships, and with a clearly focused intention on creating economic development and participation across the board. It's pretty slick, if I have to say so. So I just want to give you a perspective on what is actually happening. And this is actually something that's in a number of municipalities across the country. And it's time for us to establish this in the city of Philadelphia so we can move forward in a very aggressive and productive way.
Is LeBron James in this film?
This was actually when he was on the road when they filmed this, so he didn't get a chance to discuss it. But I'm sure he invested some money on it.
Sure. Okay, thank you. Unless the committee has any other comments or questions, maybe we can run the film. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
But here we are, ready to break ground for our third cooperative, and if that's not a call to celebrate, We don't know what it will turn vacant land into productive use. It will provide good jobs for Clevelanders, and it will provide healthy and affordable locally grown food. As we move ahead and we look at our economy and where it's going, we want to be in the forefront of it. And this project helps us to do that.
Today is such a wonderful day. We've worked so hard to get Green City Growers to this point. We are drilling concrete piers today. So this marks the beginning of the construction of the greenhouse, and it's a wonderful day for Cleveland. This day, 12/12/12, our first day of operations, has been 4 years in the making. Today we are beginning the flowering stage, and soon we will harvest the fruits of all this development and growth. The growth of this business has taken the energy of countless people, resources, and big ideas to make something happen that was not here before.
Really a good day as we continue to move forward in transforming our economy into a sustainable economy.
We will use this as a model nationally, we hope, as we've used other things in Cleveland as a model.
To me, this is just the beginning. This is a really cool idea, and I think if you think about the other kinds of businesses we can create, this will be very meaningful to citizens of Cleveland.
We hope these companies will stabilize some of the low-income neighborhoods in our city, and I think we're already starting to see, the spirit that these businesses are invoking.
What we're doing here is going to be a model for other cities in this country as we bring back our country and our workforce.
Right now we have butterhead lettuce, we have green leaf lettuce, and we have some beautiful small varieties, a red, a light green, and a darker green. We will be trialing cilantro, parsley, dill, and some of the other non-woody herbs. And from the time that we harvest and then put it into our coolers, it will be to the end user in 48 hours at the most.
Where the people are is where the production needs to be. It's good for, supporting jobs locally. It's good for producing food and an income, in that local region. Why truck it in from out of state when you can have it right here?
We are located right off of East 55th. We're in the heart of the central neighborhood of Cleveland.
I think it's great for the community because they hire people that live in the community here at Green Street Growers. So it's putting money back into the community. It just brings a lot of attention to a neighborhood that deserves it.
We will produce at least 3 million heads of lettuce a year and 300,000 pounds of fresh herbs a year. So we can do that with this high level of food safety, high level of quality, and just delicious local produce. Green City Growers is one of the evergreen companies which are employee-owned cooperatives built in Cleveland to provide employment and build financial assets for employee owners.
You work here for 6 months, and then they'll start taking a little per diem monthly check until you reach a certain level, and then you can buy in. But your employees, they have to vote you in also. You have to actually work and you get voted in by your peers.
Because it's ours, it has that much more of an importance, and we want to make it successful.
The opportunity is there. And because the opportunity is there, and most places the opportunity is not there, to move up, one day you could be CEO.
It makes you work a little bit harder because it becomes yours. You know what I'm saying? You look at it as your baby. And then we were telling Mary that from day one. This is a part of our project. We're all in this together. So you work a little harder, you do a little extra, you stay a little longer to make sure things come together.
We're standing in a very state-of-the-art greenhouse. It is a float bed system, which there are not very many hydroponic float bed systems actually in the world. And it has high-efficiency boilers from the Netherlands and an extraordinarily sophisticated computer control system.
The objective for us is to be able to have essentially the same environmental inputs every day of the year. So in the summertime we want it to be cool, and in the wintertime we want it to be warm.
It doesn't matter what time of the year that you buy a product from Green City Growers. It'll have the same quality, the same taste, the same availability any time of the year, because we're in a greenhouse, we're in a controlled environment.
You know, we don't have any kind of like different fertilizers. We don't have any of that because it's all hydroponic. You know, the nutrients are right in the water and they build the plants up and they're extremely healthy. They grow really fast and they're extremely fresh.
With a fast food spot on every corner, I think it's needed. So Green City Growers, it's good that we're here and it's bringing healthy foods to the forefront.
The neighborhood needs something healthy, like a good experience, and it's a great experience in the neighborhood too.
To buy our lettuce, a restaurateur would go to their produce company and ask for Green City Growers lettuce or herbs. And we are selling to the largest food service companies in this area, as well as one of the local grocery store chains.
Oh, it's delicious. I just had some for lunch. Actually, I did on my sandwich. The lettuce is really good. We've tried a little bit of all of it, and it's all delicious.
We will donate 1% of our product or more to the Cleveland Food Bank for distribution in the central neighborhood. So we not only provide good jobs to our employees, but we'll also help improve access to healthy food. Our mission statement came out of our morning meetings that we have with our entire staff.
So one person reads out the group every day.
So it's Green City Growers is committed to excellence at all time and embraces change, diversity, and continuous professional and personal improvement to build a strong, sustainable, and profitable business.
It helps me out, makes me be more mature, makes you feel like you're actually on a mission, you know, and this is how you're gonna succeed with this type of attitude.
It's like waking up every day with different pieces to the same puzzle. And you know how it's supposed to look at the end, but you don't know how they're going to go. So you just got to move through it, and you just got to keep going. And at the end of the day, you look back and you're like, wow, you know, this is what I did.
Thank you. Council President, you have anything
Yeah,
else?
thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you can see, this was actually initiated by the private sector and nonprofit community. The city figured out a way to get out of the way and be supportive when called upon, but this is what can happen when there's this collaborative effort with all of the stakeholders in the municipality. So this is an example of what we like to do. May not grow greens, but we're going to grow green as in money. So, Mr. Chairman, thank you very much.
We like that kind of green. Thank you, Mr. President. And anything else from the committee? Record will please reflect that Councilwoman Gim, member of the committee, is present. Ms. Marconi, will you please call our first couple witnesses, please?
Jeremiah White and Dr. Judith Gay.
And while they're approaching, if I could just make a general statement, I think from most of the witnesses, we have written testimony. That testimony will be made part of the record in full. We would appreciate, because there are a number of people who want to testify and some have time issues, if you would like, particularly if your written statements are a little lengthy, to please summarize and then be available for questions. Whoever would like to go first.
Okay, good morning.
Morning.
We're pleased to be here, and that was a fantastic video. My name is Jeremiah White, and my testimony is Council President Darrell Clark, Councilman, and members of the Law and Government Committee. I'm pleased to be here to testify in support of Resolution 160902. I would like to applaud the Council President for his foresight by proposing the establishment of the Philadelphia Community Reinvestment Commission. For over 30 years, I've worked in community and economic development in the city of Philadelphia. I've worked in the industrial corridors on American Street and in West Park Side. I ran the Philadelphia Development Partnership, which spearheaded the coordination of affordable housing agencies and was a strong advocate for rebuilding neighborhoods through community development corporations. We eventually launched the Community Development Corporation Association and established initial core funding to support CDCs. And the idea there was that if you support and build capacity in neighborhoods have a vision of what, community people have a vision of what neighborhood should be, and therefore can create that. Eventually, Philadelphia Development Partnership morphed into a micro-enterprise agency offering microloans and business support to micro-enterprises, and is called Entrepreneurial Works, and is still a key agency working with neighborhood micro-businesses. I also worked with Rouse & Associates as we undertook the revitalization of the Uptown Theater and the surrounding area, which was a project that never really came to completion. But the goal was to create an arts and entertainment district and to have a multifaceted community and arts project in North Philadelphia that was a collaborative of neighborhoods, business, government, etc. I worked closely with Councilman Clark on the project and on the subsequent Empowerment Zone project in North Central Philadelphia. And finally, I worked closely with Kenny Gamble and Raheem Islam on the Universal Plan for South Philadelphia, which was a brilliant plan to revitalize the neighborhoods in a comprehensive manner, school reform, workforce, and business creation to human growth and development. And again, it was a collaborative partnership, which is something that is proposed by the Philadelphia Community and Reinvestment Commission. Many neighborhoods in Philadelphia have made significant progress over time, and many have not. Public and private investment partnerships have brought new food shopping to many that lived for years without a supermarket. It has also brought new affordable housing through massive investments, and PHA has reconfigured neighborhoods with mixed-income housing and businesses. When you drive through the city, you see a lot of changes. But also, you see where change has not occurred. You see people displaced because of increased property taxes in their longtime neighborhoods. You see stretches of boarded up and vacant structures. You see commercial corridors untouched by this new investment. You see physical redevelopment occurring, and many of the people in the neighborhoods unable to get the jobs that this development has created, either in construction or in business. You see adult and youth unemployment in African American, Hispanic, and poor white communities at unacceptable levels. You see a poverty rate that's approaching 30%. You still see generations of youth either dropping out or graduating from school, unable to climb into the changing workforce because they do not have the skills and knowledge to compete. You see the impact of technological change on our workforce. And because of all these things and many more is why council needs to act to create this commission. This commission will not solve all the problems, but it can make a measured step to define what can be done if we're working together, if we're mission focused and accountable for results. I could go on and on about what we could not do, but we do have, the positive thing is we have a commitment of people like the council president who appreciates the progress and understands the need to keep moving forward by implementing best practices, as we saw in the video, and creating partnerships to bring more people in the city along. In my experience, broad partnerships have amassed funding, talent, and political will to create progress. I participate in the creation of CDFIs and also partnerships that foster community development, and I know from personal experience, not something I read, that it works. But as we move forward and you establish this commission, I have a few thoughts I'd like to share with you. First, more than ever today, community and economic development needs to elevate the importance of human capital development. And what we saw in the video is a clear example of a project that fosters economic development, brings in new technology, and we have a lot of new technology that can do a lot of things, not just in agriculture, but in energy and a number of other things. But what we have to do is figure out a way to have a significant portion of our residents that need education, training, and other supports to participate in the benefits, and it has to be fast-tracked. If we're going to do major infrastructure development, and I'm not talking about recreating and fixing bridges and rail lines for 20 years from now, we're talking about in the next century. It's a major investment, and we have to have people prepared. And this public-private partnership is part of the way we have to do this. We can no longer, and my feeling is, we can no longer leave the Community College of Philadelphia out of the central conversation on how we do that and how we use public-private partnerships to support it. So on page 1 of the resolution, under the whereases, number 4, whereas, I would like to include education/workforce and micro-enterprise lenders as a category because it's important that we also focus on those people that are in the informal economy that tries to move to the formal economy. And we have, as the council president said, sometimes we got to get government out of the way. We can't work with micro enterprises in the city of Philadelphia and put the onus restrictions on them that other business face when they're trying to get started. On page 3, under chapter 9, development of boards and commissions, 3-920, Philadelphia Community Reinvestment members, there needs to be a category that's called higher education/workforce training. This category is distinct from simply education. Too many times we say education. What does that mean? Does that mean the schools district? Does that mean Drexel, Penn? Does it, what does it mean? I think we've got to get to the table the people that are engaged in bringing the people in the city of Philadelphia that have a lot of challenges with skills and knowledge and the ability to work in the workforce. We've got to have them sitting at the table when we talk about human capital development. The second point is, the only diversity that I see in the document, and I know this is setting a table, right? It's setting a platform and it's not down in the weeds per se, but I thought it was important to raise this question. The only diversity that's recommended in the resolution is the type of organization selected. And I know from being in the Bankers Task Force and a lot of these other partnerships that the representation, the question is, how do you ensure that there's diverse representation and inclusion that speaks to the needs of the communities directly? Often partnerships are driven by the resource providers, and the resource providers have a certain a character to them. And while having incredible intentions, they can become top-down, and the discussions about what is required and needed can be prescriptive and could be rigidly defined and possibly not change with the evolving needs of the community. And I've seen that time after time after time. Hopefully this commission can move us forward with tough conversations that can only occur if we have intentional inclusion. And I think that's the second point I want to make. And the third point related to the commission is that partnerships that work require supporting social entrepreneurship. We've had a shift in the way we approach partnerships and these relationships from thinking that there is a group of people that know everything and the community doesn't necessarily have the insight and the ability to do it. But over my 60-some years experience, there are a lot of people in communities that are social entrepreneurs or business entrepreneurs that know a lot. And community leaders have insights and ideas that need to be supported. Sometimes they're not as sophisticated as everybody sitting at the table, et cetera, but their ideas work. A lot of kids and other people are helped. So, and the reason why they're not included is because of risk aversion. One of the things that I've experienced in these partnerships is, particularly when you get the banks and some other people involved, it's about underwriting a credit. Well, when you're trying to move a group of people from one point to the other, you can't underwrite a credit in the same way. And so sometimes I think there's too much risk aversion and it kills good and workable ideas and innovation. And on that point is that what we see, what's going on in the country today, young people are taking a different kind of tack to the kind of future they want to create. And I think that if we create a commission, we have to figure out how to bring that view into the realm. And so I'd like to thank you for listening. I have a lot of ideas about this, some experience that I would like to lend to the process if asked, and thank you for listening.
Thank you. Dr. Gay, we'll hear from you, and then if there are any questions.
Good morning to Council President Darrell Clark and members of City Council. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. I am, as you said, Dr. Judith Gay, Vice President for Strategic Initiatives and Chief of Staff at Community College of Philadelphia. I'm pleased to be here on behalf of our college president, Dr. Donald Guy Generals, to support the proposal to create a Philadelphia Community Reinvestment Commission. The stated purpose of the commission is to identify opportunities for private, public, and philanthropic entities to collaborate and leverage their resources for the public good. Our college believes creative solutions are needed to solve community problems and to foster economic growth and development. Public-private partnerships are an increasingly popular vehicle for strengthening communities to the benefit of all. Having a commission to vet strategies and make recommendations will help ensure that the community is able to maximize opportunities. Our college recently created a public-private partnership that will make it possible for us to provide affordable housing opportunities for community college students for the first time in the history of the college. We look forward to the completion of this initiative in 2018. Currently, the college is working on a proposal for a public-private partnership to create a Pathways in Technology Early College, that's sometimes known as PTEC, to create that 9 to 14 model school in Philadelphia and other communities in the Commonwealth. The PTEC model was developed by IBM Corporation in 2011. The concept is to create a partnership between a public high school, community college, industry partners, and government to develop a pathway to in-demand entry-level STEM jobs. This model has been adopted in multiple states and Australia as a vehicle for preparing students for a viable future. We're working with multiple partners, including IBM Corporation, to further this initiative in Pennsylvania. As the city's college, Community College of Philadelphia's work with public and private entities is born out of the realization that we cannot rely solely on any one sector in our efforts to impact social and economic change. The Commission's purpose and proposed composition are aligned with the approach we are taking as a college. We're pleased to support the proposal and are committed to working in any way we can to ensure the success of the Commission and the City of Philadelphia. Thank you.
Thank you both. Thank you for all you do at Community College. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, thank you both very much. Thank you for your time. Ms. Marconi, our next one. Witnesses.
Ann Fedulin.
I'm waiting for my partner here.
That's fine, you can,
He likes to make an entrance.
good morning, whoever would like to go.
Morning. Good morning, Councilman Greenlee and members of the Committee on Law and Government. My name is Ann Fadulin, Director of Planning and Development, and I'm joined this morning by Commerce Director Harold T. Epps. We appear before you on behalf of the administration to offer testimony on Bill number 160895 and Resolution number 160902, introduced by Councilman Heenan on behalf of the Council President. Together, this legislation would propose to the voters a charter amendment to create a 21-member commission on community reinvestment. We believe that the goals of this proposal are laudable, since public-private philanthropic partnerships have yielded many gains for Philadelphians, including Market East, the Gallery, the South Philadelphia Center for Health and Literacy, and Paseo Verde. We firmly believe there is the opportunity to do more. Moreover, forums for collaboration between parties is how you get things started. Getting a large multi-party initiative off the ground begins with putting the right people in a room together to talk, to find commonality, and to commit not only to a vision, but the concrete means to realize it. That said, we respectfully refer the committee to Section 21-802 of the Code, which has already created the Philadelphia Community Reinvestment Commission. We believe with some updating, this is the vehicle for convening the players in a systemic way. Updating and carrying forward the current provision is an equally viable approach to realizing the vision of this commission. Indeed, we respectfully suggest that amending 21-802 to substantially match the proposal contained in Resolution 160902 would be the best way to go. If the need for a charter change were to prove necessary as the Commission's work unfolds, we could explore the possibility at that time. Nevertheless, should the sponsor and the committee elect to pursue the charter change at this time, we have proposed amendments necessary to clarify the composition and functions of the Commission over the long term, with respect to future administrations and future councils. We share the sponsor's desire to foster a coordinated dialogue across multiple stakeholder groups to effect positive change for our city. The Kenney administration is ready to join with council in updating and implementing the existing process that council has already enacted. The administration will partner with council to identify and convene stakeholders around the vision of revitalizing the city we cherish. We are ready now, without waiting for a charter amendment, to create and institutionalize an ongoing forum that will be an effective way to bring council, the administration, other levels of government to work more closely together with private and philanthropic stakeholders to find the common interests and make the commitments on vision for Philadelphia and how to make it real. I just want to state that while we in the planning and development are honored that their thought is to house this commission within it and to have that vote of confidence, we are, you've heard of peak oil, we are at peak commission. With the reinstatement of the Community Reinvestment Commission, we will have 10 boards or commissions that are part of planning and development. And I urge you all to remember, it's one thing to set up a commission, it's another thing to make sure that that commission is functional and operational, because we don't want people to just come up with great ideas. We then want to have the resources to be able to implement those great ideas. With that, I thank you for the opportunity to testify this morning.
Mr. Epps, do you have anything to add, or you're here for any questions or comments? First of all, Ms. Verduna, if I could ask, we were just given a copy of the amendment, proposed amendments. Have you seen those? And
I have not personally seen proposed amendments. I believe there's something about making sure it's advisory, and I'm not sure what else.
All right. No, I just wanted, because there will be amendments added or offered at the
I would appreciate that.
I mean, at the meeting stage.
Right.
All right. Any questions, comments? All right. Seeing none, thank you both. Thank you both very much. Ms. Marconi, who's next?
Rick Sauer and Stephen Bradley.
Again, I think we have your written testimony out and made part of the record. Whoever would like to go first?
Good morning. My name is Stephen Bradley. I'm chair of the African American Chamber of Commerce of Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. Council Chairman Greenlee and Council President Clark, it's a privilege to be here today. I'm here today to provide testimony in support of Bill 160895 and Resolution 160902. I am appearing today on behalf of the Chamber to briefly express the benefits of amending Home Rule Charter to revamp the Philadelphia Community Reinvestment Commission and to, more importantly, place the proposed change on the ballot for electors. I would like to applaud Council President Clark and members of City Council for recognizing the importance of collaboration, innovation, and benefits that this will bring to the community throughout this commission. The work is aligned with the African Americans Chamber mission to strengthen economic conditions in areas through empowerment, which is very important. We're happy to utilize our network of minority business to be change agents in strengthening the economic climate in our city by providing outreach and engagements to members of the Chamber and the Philadelphia community, in addition to providing resources so these businesses can grow. This ultimately will provide additional revenue for our city through direct and indirect employment opportunities for employees. When businesses strive, communities grow and benefit. Establishing a 21 commission will essentially create an opportunity for the city to leverage and maximize resources in underserved communities who need it most. With local government experiencing reduced funding from federal, state, and local resources for stabilization and sustainable revitalization, the formation of this commission will provide a chance for the city to partner with organizations across different sectors, both public, private, and philanthropic. With the commission in the forefront to develop strategies and review best practices, we in our city can create an opportunity to interact quite differently than government to bring new ideas, fresh approaches to issues that plague our city, such as poverty, education, economic and workforce development, and public health. I think with the engagement of businesses, colleges, and universities of higher learning, financial institutions, private corporations, you have a unique opportunity to build upon the success of each to produce optimal results. I believe the Commission will add value to not only existing initiatives, but create renovations that could place our city on a map to provide insights to improving conditions of our residents, just not locally, but in the state and throughout our nation. It is very important to note that in today's political climate, entrepreneurship is becoming an occupation of choice. In 2016, Philadelphia was voted the number 25 cities as far as young entrepreneurs. The creation of this commission will not only be innovative, but will attract new businesses and young entrepreneurs, which in turn improve our economic development of the city of Philadelphia. It is imperative that we continue to meet the needs of the community that we serve, and I humbly request that you vote in support of Bill 160895 and Resolution 160902 out of committee at the conclusion of this hearing. Thank you very much, and I'm here if you have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Bradley. Why don't we hear from Mr. Sauer, and then if there's any questions.
Sure. Good morning, Chairman Greenlee, Council President Clark, and members of the committee, and I want to thank you for the opportunity to testify. My name is Rick Sauer, and I'm the Executive Director of the Philadelphia Association of Community Development Corporations. PACDC represents 115 organizations, including 50 CDCs that are working to advance equitable development, revitalize Philadelphia neighborhoods, and improve the quality of life for our residents. PACDC supports the goals of Resolution 160902 because we believe bringing together private sector entities such as financial institutions, foundations, anchor institutions, and citywide nonprofit organizations in partnership with the public sector can lead to a more coordinated strategy and leverage additional resources in support of community reinvestment. that will improve neighborhoods and expand economic opportunities for our residents. As we seek to address key challenges facing the city, there is a need to be able to identify and scale up successful innovative models, both here in Philadelphia, but from other cities around the country. Philadelphia has an abundance of both nonprofit and for-profit entities that bring a wealth of knowledge and experience on this front. And creation of a commission of practitioners and experts will ensure ongoing, consistent input on the development and implementation of a community reinvestment strategy for Philadelphia, and could also help facilitate the leveraging of additional private sector resources to support these efforts. While I'm not sure we need to amend the city charter to achieve this goal, regardless of how such an entity is formed, there needs to be a clear commitment on behalf of the Kenney administration to work with City Council and the private sector, including nonprofits, to convene such an entity and empower it to achieve its mission. It will be important to ensure there is adequate financial and staff support for the Community Reinvestment Commission, similar to the need for support for the Housing Advisory Board that was authorized in 2015 in conjunction with the creation of the city's Department of Planning and Development. While the missions of these two entities are related, their focus and proposed makeup are different. The 12-member Housing Advisory Board is charged with improving coordination across city housing agencies and the development of a long-term strategic housing plan for the city, while the 21-member Community Reinvestment Commission is charged with bringing together private, public, philanthropic entities to collaborate and leverage their resources for the public good around a broader range of community reinvestment and economic development issues. We support the important roles these two entities can play in strengthening Philadelphia's neighborhoods and improving the quality of life for our residents. And we encourage the Kenney administration to work with City Council and outside stakeholders to make them a reality. Thank you.
Thank you both. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, thank you both very much. Ms. Marconi, I believe our last two.
Brian Emmons and Karen Lewis.
Is there anyone else here who wants to testify other than those two? Okay, very good. Ms. Lewis, come forward too, please. Ms. Emmons, please. We have your written testimony. We also have Ms. Lewis's. Please proceed.
Thank you. My name is Brian Emmons, and I'm here today on behalf of the Building Industry Association of Philadelphia, which represents Philadelphia's region's residential home builders, contractors, and suppliers. Thank you, Councilman Greenlee and the members of the Law and Government Committee for the opportunity to speak before you today. I am here to testify regarding Bill number 160902, introduced by Council President Clark to amend the Philadelphia Home Rule Charter. We appreciate the Council President's interest in this issue, as well as his leadership and consistent advocacy for our industry, and we look forward to working together with him in the future. The BIA strongly supports this legislation's premise as ensuring the City of Philadelphia has a clear and consistent plan for implementing community reinvestment strategies that benefit everyone in our city. The BIA applauds Council President Clark's underlying goal of increasing public and private partnerships, which will strengthen our community, create jobs, and economic opportunity. We believe a coordinated plan between public and private stakeholders is always the best option to achieve a better Philadelphia. The BIA does remain concerned that seating a 21-person commission, finding proper funding, as well as the staff resources to devote the necessary time is problematic. Simply put, we don't believe the resources are there now. We also do not believe that waiting for this to be voted on in the next election is in the best interest of Philadelphians. Fortunately, the BIA believes that waiting for a vote on a charter is not needed to implement such an important and worthy cause. The Philadelphia Code, Section 21-802, already allows for the creation of the Philadelphia Community Reinvestment Commission. As currently drafted, the code allows Council President and other city department heads, as well as local business leaders, to either sit on or appoint their designee to sit on the Philadelphia Community Reinvestment Commission. The BIA and our members believe that appointing members to sit on the already code-approved Philadelphia Community Reinvestment Commission, ensuring it's properly funded is the quickest way for council to achieve what the BIA believes to be the underlying goal of this legislation, which is to ensure that there is a clear and consistent plan for implementing community reinvestment strategies that benefit everyone in the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Why don't we hear from Ms. Lewis, and then I think the council president has a response to that, but please, go ahead.
Good morning. Thank you, Chairman Greenlee and Council President and members of City Council for convening this hearing and inviting Drexel University to provide testimony in support of the Philadelphia Community Reinvestment Commission. Public-private partnerships, also known as P3s, serve to leverage the assets of each participant, thereby improving the likelihood that some community-based initiatives even get started, let alone completed. Through this legislation, the skills and assets of each sector, public and private, may be identified, cataloged, and prioritized with the goal of delivering a community service or facility to benefit the general public. In addition to sharing of resources, Drexel University specializes in intellectual capital. Each party shares in the responsibility of developing community services and/or facilities to meet the needs of our residents. Early involvement of the private sector can bring creativity, efficiency, and capital to address complex problems facing federal, state, and local government leaders. Since the Great Recession, interest in public-private partnerships has grown due in part to limited public funds to meet current and future community needs. Public-private partnerships are becoming one of the most innovative and promising forms of collaboration. It is based on the recognition that both public and private sectors can benefit from pooling their financial resources, experience, know-how, and expertise to improve the delivery of basic services and improve the quality of life of all citizens. In essence, public-private partnerships provide a positive framework for cities to compete in the global market by combining private resources and expertise with the power and influence of government. There are many benefits to a university in seeking a private partner as they seek opportunities to educate their students, conduct scholarly research, engage in civic activities, and volunteer in our communities, and expand to redevelop their facilities. Reduced budgets, hiring freezes, and capital cutbacks mean many university departments are already working at capacity. Identifying public-private partnerships is therefore a key to Drexel's success. We cannot go alone. As a comprehensive research institution that attracts over $100 million in extramural funding from federal government, foundations, private philanthropy, and corporate donors, Drexel is able to form partnerships locally with community organizations in the city of Philadelphia and private businesses to leverage the strengths and expertise of each in applying some of these precious resources to areas of Philadelphia in critical need of assistance. Drexel's University Dana and David Dornsife Center and the Steve and Sandy Scheller 11th Street Family Services are two examples of public-private partnerships successfully delivering community health, job, legal, and educational services that impact tens of thousands of Philadelphia residents in positive ways every day. In addition, Drexel, in partnership with the City of Philadelphia, the School District of Philadelphia, Wordsworth Academy, and many other community partners, was recently awarded a $30 million 5-year Promise Neighborhood grant from the U.S. Department of Education. Over the next 5 years, Drexel expects this initiative, made possible by the grant, will prove life-changing for thousands of students at 7 schools in the West Philadelphia area. As an institution of higher education, Drexel believes this type of partnership is essential to supporting an educational model that fosters innovation, creativity, teamwork, critical thinking, and civic engagement. With this in mind, Drexel's successful co-op education program includes partnerships with over 2,500 businesses, providing 3 6-month real-world access for work for students in their professional fields, helping to prepare them for future careers. Drexel University, like many other academic institutions, believe the P3 strategy for large-scale development projects has the potential to create broad-based benefits by enhancing the campus environment, surrounding communities, and the city through job creation, business attraction, and economic vitality. In addition, Drexel's intellectual capital, law, business, education, health, research, and science is a tremendous asset in attracting investment and creating successful P3s. Most recently, Drexel University entered into 2 such agreements, the 30th Street Station District Plan and the Schuylkill Yards Development Project. Both projects would be extremely difficult to conceive without a P3 strategy. The 30th Street Station District Plan envisions 40 new acres of open space and 18 million square feet of new development, including an entirely new mixed-use neighborhood anchoring the district atop 88 acres of rail yards along the western bank of the Schuylkill River. With a proposed $2 billion investment in roads, utilities, parks, bridges, and extensions of transit services, the plan has the potential to unlock $4.5 billion in private real estate investment with robust and widespread economic benefit. An estimated $3.8 billion in city and state taxes and 40,000 new jobs would be created. Recently, the 30th Street Station District Plan was honored with the architect industry's most prestigious award, a 2017 Institute Honor Award for Regional and Urban Design from the American Institute of Architects. The district plan was selected from more than 700 submissions from around the world. The award underscores the importance of collaboration among the project principals, Amtrak, Brandywine, City of Philadelphia, Drexel University, PennDOT, and SEPTA in developing the plan, with guidance from a coordinating committee and input from members of the public. Drexel University's 20-year plan for Schuylkill Yards is a $3.5 billion and 14-acre project that will aim to transform West Philadelphia into a leading innovation hub of the region with thousands of jobs and business opportunities. The initial phases of the projected 20-year development plan will consist of 5 million gross square feet of mixed-use real estate on a 10-acre site next to Drexel's main campus and adjacent to Amtrak's 30th Street Station and Brandywine's Cira Center. This collaborative neighborhood will feature entrepreneurial space, educational facilities, and research laboratories, corporate offices, residential and retail spaces, hospitality and cultural venues, and public open spaces. This is a long-term investment in Philadelphia and its University City neighborhood, with master developer Brandywine leading the development. These are just a few examples of why we believe public-private partnerships are important and therefore support the bill 160-895 and resolution 160902.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Lewis.
Thank you.
Councilperson Clark, I think you have a clarification on this issue of the commission?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much. Thank you for your testimony. I just wanted to respond to the issue with respects to the council's ability to create commissions. The framers of the charter, in their infinite wisdom, required that we do a number of things to create commissions. And it's a good thing they did that, because we'd be creating a commission every week. They require that we actually get a charter amendment that has to be done through a charter change and through an election process. So it has to be a ballot question. And I actually agree, having been a member of council for 16 years, we do come up with a lot of issues, and our ability to change the charter and create commissions simply by an ordinance would not be a good thing. So that's why we have to go this direction. When it was done years ago, well-intentioned, the whole 9 yards, but it is not legal because council could not create it by ordinance. So it has to be a charter amendment.
No, so what you're saying is, even though that the city code allows for the commission right now, the charter does not allow you to actually appoint?
It does not, it does not allow us to create it. So We created it, and if you look through the code, there's a number of things that we've created that are kind of iffy if you apply the charter to the particular code. But that's what we do. Sometimes we do stuff to get people's attention. But in this case, the importance and the significance of what this can ultimately be, we thought we probably want to do it the right way, particularly since stakeholders are on board with this and along with the administration. The other thing with respect to the funding, because it is a challenge when you create these entities, we do have issues with respect to making sure that the workforce is there to implement these programs. As you can call, and again, thank you all for supporting the Office of Planning and Development. We had to figure out a way to fund that particular initiative, probably use a little more money and understand it, but we're working our way towards full funding. On this particular issue, we believe that some of the existing departments will be able to do the work. I'm sure those department heads will continue to ask for additional funding, but that's what the budget process is for, which will be starting relatively shortly. Without going too far, there will be a part 2 to this, because we need to talk about the specific nature of how we stimulate the economy. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. Assuming this passes, there will be this conversation about how this organization talks about revenue sources and generating revenue sources that will allow us to truly create a stimulus type effect. Back in the old days, if you remember, and you're probably too young, you all, but when Ed Rendell was the mayor, that's how I know you work for Ed Rendell. Ed Rendell and John Street actually had a thing called the stimulus fund. The press probably called it a slush fund, but the simple reality was that we had the wherewithal to stimulate the economy by having the ability to access revenue to fund that small part of a major economic development initiative. And it's probably needed even more so because of the significant decline in federal and state funding. At the end of the day, without getting political, very concerned about this particular administration and its willingness to create additional opportunities for us here locally. At some point, we have to figure out a way to do it ourselves. So a part of this process, and we'll be discussing that in the second phase, is to figure out a way to create more revenue opportunities to allow us to stimulate the economy and stimulate local businesses as it relates to putting resources on the table. And we will clearly need you all support for that. So thank you. Thank you.
Okay,
thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Council President. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, once more, anyone else here to testify on this bill and resolution? Seeing none, just for the record, there will be a part of the record, a letter from the Development Workshop, in essence raising the same concerns that Mr. Emmons did as far as the actual setting up of the commission. With that, that concludes the hearing of the Committee on Law and Government. We will now move into our public meeting, and the chair recognizes Councilman Heenan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I make a motion 160895 be voted out of committee with a favorable recommendation to suspend the rules as to be heard at the next council session.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Bill number 160895 is reported out of committee with a favorable recommendation with a rule suspension. Allow first reading next session of council. Councilman Heenan on the amendment for resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I offer an amendment to resolution 160902. The amendment has been circulated to all members of the committee, and I ask that it be adopted.
It's been moved and seconded. Hold 1 second. Okay. Yeah, the record will just reflect in the amendment that was put in, it was the numbers were reversed, but it is resolution 160902. It's been moved and seconded that the amendment is adopted. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the amendment is adopted. Councilman Heenan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that 160902 as amended be voted with a favorable recommendation.
It's been moved and seconded that resolution 160902 be as amended be approved by this committee. All in favor?
Aye.
opposed? Hearing none, so moved, and Resolution 160902 as amended is reported as committee favorably. That concludes the business of the Law and Government Committee today. Thank you all very much. Thanks.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thanks.